Hello, students and poetry fans. Today I'm going to read a poem by Gary Soto written in 1983, not very far in the past. It is titled Oranges, and it is one of these modern American poems that has very free structure to it. It uses very conversational style of English throughout most of it, but it has enough specific details in it to make the reader feel like you're actually in the moment. It has a sort of immediacy, a feeling that this could actually be happening. So it kind of approaches fiction in that way. And it has a few poetic images that might strike you as you read it. But it's a simple story. It's a sort of a romantic moment for a couple at the age of 12. So, my approach will be quite straightforward today. We'll just take a look at very few language points, and then I will read it one time, and then I'll ask you to go and look back at it yourself and see how you respond to it. Okay? So, some of this language might be pretty well known, but so rouge, described in the poem, is makeup that is red in color, and so particularly in the past, girls tended to use more of it than they do today, just to redden the skin a little bit, to look at a bit of blush. Okay, tiered is an adjective meaning stacked on many levels, in tiers, right? One on top of another, and it says that some candies are tiered like bleachers. So bleachers are like those seats I'm sure you're familiar with in sports arenas. So the point is those seats are stacked level on top of level on top of level. Just a little moment where we can see a stack of chocolates described in a simple way, tiered like bleachers. Okay, so let's get right into it. Oranges. The first time I walked with a girl, I was 12, cold and weighted down with 2 oranges in my jacket. December, frost cracking beneath my steps, my breath before me, then gone, as I walked toward her house, the one whose porch light burned yellow night and day in any weather. A dog barked at me until she came out pulling at her gloves, face bright with rouge. I smiled, touched her shoulder, and led her down the street across a used car lot and a line of newly planted trees, until we were breathing before a drugstore. We entered, the tiny bell bringing a saleslady down a narrow aisle of goods. I turned to the candies, tiered like bleachers, and asked what she wanted. Light in her eyes, a smile starting at the corners of her mouth. I fingered a nickel in my pocket, and when she lifted a chocolate that cost a dime, I didn't say anything. I took the nickel from my pocket, then an orange, and set them quietly on the counter. When I looked up, the lady's eyes met mine and held them, knowing very well what it was all about. Outside, a few cars hissing past, fog hanging like old coats between the trees. I took my girl's hand in mine for 2 blocks, then released it to let her unwrap the chocolate. I peeled my orange, that was so bright against the gray of December that, from some distance, someone might have thought I was making a fire in my hands. And there you have it, straight and simple. So let me know what you thought of the poem, and I'll speak to you again when I have another poem tomorrow.